Honorable Shri Jairam Ramesh, the very visionary Minister for Environment and Forests. We're very fortunate the country has at this critical stage his leadership, combining political wisdom on the one hand and emotional commitment on the other. Very many steps have been taken. One of them he mentioned today, a National Bureau for Forest Genetic Resources. This has been one of our hopes for a long time, and he gets it all converted. He's not one of those who just lives with ideas. The idea, if it is worthwhile, he gets it implemented immediately. So very, very grateful to you for your presence today and for your inspiring address. I'm happy that Dr. Angela Cropper is with us, known her for a long time. Minister mentioned about the 20th anniversary of CBD being held here in India. She was the first executive secretary of the CBD, Angela Cropper, and started developing the mechanisms by which CBD can be operationalized. We are happy that so many of you are here, but we have also some special guests this evening. This is a ship. The Japanese government organizes a youth ship around the world. This year they are discussing environment and biodiversity. It's called the Ship for Youth World Program. Can you kindly stand up, those who are from the ship for the Youth World Program? You see, give them a big hand. They go around the world spreading the message for a good environment. And thank you very much for coming. Yesterday we had a large number of college students, and Angela mentioned one of the questions which were raised, namely the poverty of the conservers in relation to the prosperity of the area in which they live. And this was also referred to by the minister. Let me give you one example. In the past, we never recognized the contributions of local communities in conservation. In eastern Uttar Pradesh, there is a species of rice called Oryza nivara, which was maintained by the local communities. It does not really give high yield, but that provided the genes for brown plant hopper resistance. A variety like IR36 from Erie, which spread at one stage to nearly 30 million hectares, was from that one gene, because the Oryza nivara gene provided the resistance to brown plant hopper. And even if you give 1 ton per hectare additional yield, 30 million means 30 million tons of additional yield coming from genes preserved by local communities. It is only this dichotomy of people conserving for public good at personal cost and without getting any reward that is being set right through the Biodiversity Convention, through the National Biodiversity Act, through the Plant Variety Protection and Farmers' Rights Act. I hope people who implement these things will realize the enormous contributions which local communities have made, farmers, tribal communities, in the conservation of natural resources. We have come toward the end of it. I do not want to take much of your time, but again thank all the organizations who are here, but there will be a formal vote of thanks. But one thing is clear, we talked about land care movement and so on, but the climate care movement, which if we start a climate care movement, the first basic step for a climate care movement is the gene care or species care, because without it you can't really care for the climate. And therefore this is why the biodiversity conservation is the very first step in a climate care movement, and it is important that these two, as the minister rightly emphasized, the relationship between biodiversity and climate change, because we know the most important and the most significant casualties of climate change will be food security, water security, and thereby of livelihood security. And these can somewhat be saved. The extent of damage can be minimized if we have adequate genetic material with us, the genes by which we can withstand. So let this Chennai Declaration start a new climate care movement, which involves, as I said, the very first basic step of conserving biodiversity and the genes we have. The genes and species. I give you one example, 1 or 2 genes from Oryza nivara, how they could change the whole fate of the rice crop, particularly in Indonesia and so on. They have enormous significance. I am glad that we have got almost all the important organizations represented here. I also want to specially mention Ambassador Kenneth Quinn, since he didn't talk, and he is the president of the World Food Prize Foundation, who is taking the legacy of Borlaug forward. Borlaug's legacy will be kept alive. And one of Borlaug's most important legacy with reference to this meeting was the conservation of genetic diversity and its intelligent use, recombination, pyramiding of genes in order to get a wide combination of characters. Well, I want to, because Bala Ravi is going to propose a vote of thanks, he cannot thank himself. So therefore, I want to thank Dr. Ajay Parida, Dr. Bala Ravi, and all the groups which have worked very hard and made this work. Thank you all very much.